start by noting that there have been global programs peaking on both gender and energy access. This has really helped the momentum at the bank and within the work that we're trying to do in ESMAT and in the Africa region on gender and energy. Specifically highlighting the World Development Report in 2012, which several of you have referenced already. There is the Think Equal campaign that happened in September 2011 to help launch the WDR. And there's also a lot of the more global programs like the Global Alliance of Clean Cook Stoves, which we just heard about, the Sustainable Energy for All, and recent global reports on household energy. It's very important to see this global momentum as this is a critical shift for us in mainstreaming gender. The corporate priorities and global initiatives recognizing that gender and energy access is critical to development and poverty alleviation has really been a major step in our work. The gender debate is actually shifting from why should we be doing gender to how do we do it. And this shift we're starting to really notice a shift from the supply to demand. I can say this on a personal level. When we first started the work on gender and energy, it came a lot of knocking on our colleagues' doors, trying to understand their projects, trying to understand opportunities in which we can work with them. And now we're getting the emails, we're getting the requests, people are calling us. And it's been a really gradual shift, but we're feeling it, and it's really it's a pleasure to see this happen. And I think it's due to a lot of, in part, of the work that you've been doing, but also to some of the momentum that's happening at the bigger picture. So ESMAT, as many of you in the room already know, I wanted to just quickly highlight, ESMAT is the Energy Sector Management Assistance Program. It's essentially a trust-funded program within the World Bank, sometimes often called the think tank of the energy sector. It focuses primarily on supporting innovative studies and research and introducing new areas to the energy sector. And a lot of the work that we've been doing, for example, we were starting to do a lot of the low carbon work before it became much more mainstreamed into the energy sector. We're currently doing work on various areas, energy efficiency, clean energy, and energy access. But what's important about ESMAT, it's really been a program that's been committed to the areas of household energy, rural electrification, and gender over the years. And one of the shifts has been that we're trying to move away from just kind of the ad hoc activities on gender within ESMAT and the bank and trying to be a little bit more systematic and strategic and trying to understand how we can really mainstream this going forward. So our approach really has been to develop and implement strategies and approaches in the programs, regions, and countries to mainstream gender into energy operations with the key principles. We need to be relevant for the energy task teams, the people who are really in the front line working with the governments and the agencies on the ground. This means they want information and they want advice from us that's brief, that's timely, that's practical for their operations and work. They don't necessarily need a 200-page report. Sometimes they really just need a phone call or for people to join their missions or to give them really quick case studies of experiences that happened, exchange networks, exchange on who's who, where people are working. Some of this really timely operational advice. This has been something specific that has been requested to us to, to really give this timely support. And to really build upon the good work that's been done. I think these last day and a half has really shown there is a lot of work already done. We have a strong foundation to work upon, and really let's reference this and let's build upon this and let's connect to this. And integrate action into projects. They're really challenging us to really bring the how-to into the World Bank operations, into the government lending programs, and demonstrate the advocacy to action. We've been using this slogan, and now we need to prove it. So the energy teams at the bank are now working together across various regions and programs to pilot some activities, document lessons, and exchange experiences to integrate it into future interventions. Specifically in the Africa region, we have, through the Africa Renewable Energy Access Program, which Tineke mentioned yesterday, we have a gender and energy program where our approach is from advocacy to action. We're collaborating with the Africa Energy Task Teams at the bank to review and assess energy projects for potential integration of a gender component within their work. We're building upon the gender and energy expertise at a global, regional, and local level. and we're focusing on results. We're working on the ground with an approach of learning by doing, side by side with task teams and clients, to develop gender assessments and action plans that are relevant to projects and client needs. Very similar to the approaches that have been discussed in the coming days. I think it was very reassuring to hear that we're very much following the assessments, the action plans, the monitoring, the baselines, a lot of these key things in terms of sustainability and sustaining to develop a sustainable approach. It's very much following on the guidance that's already been established. The program is working in various countries. We are working in Mali, Tanzania, Kenya, Benin, Senegal, and starting work in Liberia and potentially Mozambique. So we've worked with actually several of you in the room already, and if you're working on one of these countries, please come talk to me. I'd be very interested to exchange. And the work is, as I was saying, we're doing a very similar process. We're doing the scoping missions, gender needs assessment, we're developing M&E tools, target baseline development. We're working on gender desks, in developing gender desks and gender focal points within the agencies and government counterparts we're working with. And we're really engaging in government dialogue and discussion. We are also working in integrating gender into ongoing regional activities. We've done some work on Lighting Africa, which will be presented later on today. The Africa Electrification Initiative, just 2 weeks ago, held a conference in Dakar, and we had a gender and energy session as part of that workshop. We've been part of the Biomass Energy Initiative for Africa, and there is an upcoming Africa Clean Cook Stoves Initiative program where we're also going to be part of that team to bring in the gender dimension of the work. So looking ahead, what do we expect to come out of this program? Where do we see ourselves going? We're really looking to develop technical assistance, tools, and learning to compile this into a toolkit for future interventions and projects. This toolkit is not necessarily something that we can staple together, but really it's the way of ensuring that task teams are equipped with the tools they need. And this is something that's developing over time, and we're going to be compiling it into an e-platform, into documents, and this is actually something that I'll talk about in a little bit, but it's being led by Joy Clancy, so in the back of the room. We're working with ENERGIA, we're working with other partners to really make sure that the work we're doing is building upon the ongoing expertise. We're doing monitoring tools and targets and making sure they're integrated into energy programs. We're ensuring that energy task managers are better equipped with real experience of integrating gender into projects. And at this point right now on gender desks, government counterparts are engaged with energy teams in integrating gender considerations with sustainable integration into future programs. Every buzzword is there. But basically, I think this is a really critical point, which I will discuss specifically on the point of Mali. I think over the last couple of days, we've really heard about what happens when we leave, what happens when the project leaves, and how do we build the capacity and ensure the follow-through. And I think this has been a lot of our work, is to really ensure that the work is, there's ownership and there's leadership within the agencies we're working with. And this last part on this local, regional, and global experts. One of the key questions asked by our energy teams has always been, who can we work with? And please don't just have it be someone who can provide me, as someone said earlier, the gender buzzwords within my document, but who can help me actually operationalize this, go on missions, help me identify opportunities. So one thing we've been doing is we've been identifying a callable roster. We've had an expression of interest for SWAT team members. We're calling it SWAT team, but it's essentially a network where we're asking people to send in their resumes, send in their areas of expertise, and we're having this list shared within the energy sector so people know who's who on the ground. And if you haven't been I've seen many of your resumes come in, and it's not that we're not calling on people right away, it's just for us to have this network and we can share it when people are very interested in doing some of this work. Because I think I'm seeing some of the work happening very quickly, so hopefully by building this roster, this is a way to show energy teams that we do know we have people on hand, there are a lot of experts that they can call upon. So very quickly, the case of Mali, to show a very specific example of this work. Mali was selected as one of the pilot countries where we're integrating gender, and Amadir is the Rural Energy Agency, which has been our key national counterpart. As noted in other presentations, one of the key areas for our success is that we were able to integrate gender into the project design, the household energy project design from the start. That really helped move things forward. It was a key entry point for us. So our initial work has been completed, scoping, identification. We've identified local experts, and this is ongoing as we work with additional partners going forward. And we've formally got a gender focal point established within Amadeir. This is, I think yesterday someone presented that this role kind of came. I think there are de facto default gender focal points within many organizations, but to have a fully signed letter with a stamp took a few months to get going, but it was a really huge milestone because this is now a formal role within the agency and has been actually recognized within at a national level that this Amadeir is setting an example of a formal gender focal point with duties, with accountabilities, and with expectations for monitoring the progress and the integration of gender within the work. So the gender assessment was conducted with a team of international and national experts in 12 villages. And we just presented the findings of this assessment during a planning workshop with Amadeir and partners. And we're shifting from the supply to demand. Not only what I was talking about earlier, but also within Mali, they're doing a lot of gender budgeting within a ministry. So they're getting called upon. Amadeir is now being called upon to provide input into this. So you're seeing it on both sides. We at the bank are getting we're seeing the shift from supply to demand, but also at the country level. And another important part is that gender is now integrated into the upcoming investment plan. Mali is one of the scaling up renewable energy programs for the climate investment funds, and we were requested to provide gender-specific input into their plan. And basically the findings of the assessment and what the action plan activities will be integrated into SHREP. I think this is a really important point. We not only started with the project design originally, but now we're talking about future project preparation. I think that's really the sustainable link, and it's been a very important process going forward. We've also tried to exchange the information that's happening in Mali at various conferences, and we've participated in the recent 11-11-11 campaign on women at work, focusing on the energy sector. So that video hopefully will be available shortly. So very quickly, these are the 12 villages and where field work was done in Mali over the summer. There was 200 household energy surveys conducted. Several barriers were identified and strengths and opportunities, which is really how we developed some of the recommendations in the action plan. Barriers such as limited number of income-generated activities that are managed and owned by women, few women in decision-making posts, the length of service is a challenge in the time of service, limited access to credit, information, and financial training. Many of the barriers that we've heard throughout the past few days. Some of the strengths and opportunities, however, are there is a strong commitment of the government of Mali to promote gender equality. This national standpoint is very important, and also Amadeir, the Real Energy Agency, they have a very positive support for mainstreaming this work. So we are also seeing there's a lot of organized and energetic women's groups and leaders identified within the villages that will really help us when we pilot activities. And we're seeing an incremental change of mentality with men and women at the national level. This was just a very quick picture showing that we did a workshop at Amadeir. I had 30 staff. You see a lot of men in the room. And it was really important because it was chaired by the PDG, the President Director General, and the discussion was chaired by the energy project leader, someone who's been working with the government. People know this person for years. It really makes a difference. It's not just me coming in, presenting some of the recommendations. It's not also the gender focal point presenting some of the findings, but it's really led from a senior level. I think it really made a big difference in the conversation, and we were able to have a very open, frank discussion, and most importantly, commit within the team to do some fast start activities in 5 villages and develop a really fully detailed action plan in the year to come. And we are trying to identify potential partners in the area in Mali where we can work together. UN Women is a group that we're talking with, and we're really trying to identify how we can partner today, and partner going forward with the people on the ground. So this is just a very quick snapshot of some of the action pillars on awareness raising, capacity building, strengthening institutions, and doing pilots and reporting. So this is something that's going to be built in detail in the coming months. Just very quickly, when we say activities, what does this mean? In Mali, there's a lot of opportunity with productive uses of women. This was one of my really favorite photos. This woman was showing all of the areas in which she's using energy for her work and how it's improved. She says now that she has electricity, she has, her business has grown threefold. She's able to work longer hours. She's able to bring in considerable more tools. She has a curling iron. She has a hair blow dryer. She has a fan. She has outlets. She has a radio, a television. She's able to bring comfort to her customers, and she was very animated, showing us this and showing the outlets, and it was just it was a great experience to see that there are really a lot of opportunities and ways in which we can build the capacity of women in a very concrete way. Refrigeration Revolution to businesses and communities. Anyone who's been to Mali or to some of the villages will see how refrigeration has really helped communities, and with ice making and being able to, I think this picture of someone with fish where they're very not close to any of the water sources, it's very important. Refrigeration for medical uses. This is an example of someone in a non-electrified village, but using a generator to help with the sewing machine. So it's not only productive uses of electricity, but it's of both sources of energy, not off-grid as well. So my last slide. So the key lessons for integrating gender, what to do and what not to do. I think we've heard about this over the last few days, so I won't focus too much, but we're really trying to bring the theory to practice. I think everyone says we get it, we get the big picture, and we're kind of convinced, not 100%, we're kind of convinced, but now really work with us to make us understand it. And lesson 2, identifying entry points, as Carrie noted, and the low-hanging fruits. Work with the people who really want to partner with you. Identify the colleagues that you are ready to work with and the agencies that are ready to do this, because then you can pilot actions, and demonstration is huge to help others understand how to do it. Building upon cultural norms, I think one of the things I've learned in Mali, you have to have a conversation about what gender is, what people feel are their social, intellectual, cultural barriers to this. This was an important conversation. I think the presentation yesterday mentioned about having men talk to men. There's a lot of this that it's very country specific. Be prepared to be surprised, both good and bad. When we started this, we didn't realize the climate investment funds would be having such a strong push with gender integration. This has been a great surprise for us, helping our work. Develop and build capacity for sustainable integration, a very key point, and one of the, there is a focus a little bit on the process, on making sure you're documenting this, you're thinking about the policy actions, and you're doing some of this work as well as some of the concrete activities. Document, report, share learning by doing as you go. One of our key feedbacks is we need to share more of what we're doing. I think it takes a lot of time to get started and to get into the field and to get these operations going, but it's really up to us now to share this. So you'll see in the coming year much more news. We're trying to do some newsletters, some quick, timely information sharing, even coming to events such as these to share some of what we're doing, to hear feedback from you, and to really build partnerships going ahead. Parallel piloting is important, making sure that when you're doing assessments, you're also trying the things you know have to happen anyway. If you know you're going to be doing an awareness workshop, this really helps with stimulating some of these results, stimulating the conversation quickly. And then lastly, bottom-up approaches have to reach the top. We're really getting a lot of requests trying to understand what are we doing. I think this means in terms of the agencies we work with, making sure that this reaches the PDG level, reaches the president's level of the agencies. We talk with country managers, we talk within the bank, we talk with management, so they see this work. I think there's a lot of great case studies and examples that have been discussed over the past few days, and it's really up to us as the practitioners, the people who are doing it, to share this with our management, to show that results are happening and it is possible. So I would like to just close with that and show this is our team at the bank working on the activities. You can contact any of us at any point, and you'll probably get put in touch with me as well. But I wanted to just highlight Joy Clancy's role, because I had forgotten to mention that. Our SWAT team approach, it's global, regional, and local. So all the work that's being done in each of the countries, we are working together with the global experts, we're working with the regional experts, and we're doing capacity building as we go. It's a very important part that we're not just assuming that someone's going to take an assessment and just go with it. This is something that's being validated. We're sharing it with Joy, and we're working on it as we go. So I just wanted to say that this is very collegial, and we look forward to your input and feedback. Thank you.